Back. I was just playing around while we were gone. I am certainly not used to this live stream stuff, social media, again, not my forte. So what I did was, in the meantime, I went to that yellow bag that I showed before, and I filmed a very, very brief slow motion video. So this way I can show the difference between different types of strikes, what it does to the bag. Is the bag swinging? Is it okay? If I simply fast forward through this video, both times you can see, boom, boom, the bag moves, and then again, bag moves, right? Boom, and boom, same one. But the difference is that when you watch the first one, notice the arc of the bag and what actually happens. So pushing the bag, swinging, when is it bad, right? Oops. Yeah. It's a nice dent, the bag swings away. And then instead, right, a slightly different approach here. And what happens there? So let's rewind that. Here, the bag literally swings away. It swings like a seesaw or a child's play swing away from the point of impact. In this case, the second one with the follow through and more mass behind it, I don't know if you picked up on that. Let's try to do that again. Boom, the bag actually moves from the top. The top prolapse symbol looks like it's getting knocked over. From the top, it tilts and then it rotates underneath, shaking away. Versus again, earlier, what happened was it simply stung the bag, bam, prolapse symbol stays intact and the whole bag swings away. So again, differences here, right? Between an impact, which either a very short sting is one thing, but even if you sting and because the momentum of the body causes it to swing away from you, that may not be always advisable or optimal, depending on what kind of damage you're trying to create. But if the whole bag swings, notice, swings from the bottom, boom, swings from the bottom away from you, versus gets attacked and then swings away, right? So again, putting low, a lower body shot, still using that straight punch, which is unrealistic perhaps for certain situations like this, but just to demonstrate, right? So coming in this way, so swinging, boom, swings away, boom, swings away, boom, swings away from you, versus if I go here and I come in, attack it, tilt, tilt, so it becomes much more obvious if you do it high. So let's do it high. The first one swings away from me, bottom, swings away from me, versus the bottom comes back at me, the top is still in. You see that? The top gets knocked away. And there are reasons why it's easier to do on the top. People think it's because the way the bag is hanging, and that's true. Of course, it's on a chain. You can see that here. It actually has to do with the effective mass and how much of this bag's mass is actually participating in the collision between you two. So you can solve for this mathematically, you can model it. The idea being that even when someone is holding mitts for you, right? Focus mitts or pads, the way that they hold it changes. That angle changes how much of their body mass or the pad's mass you're actually interacting with. It's an important consideration when we use this with partner twists. When I have my sensors inside and we hold it, and of course it probably weighs about 5 kilo, the whole thing. Better than being too small, better than being too heavy. This thing here can be braced against. You can use it to brace yourself. You can brace it against the ball. Changes completely the reading sometimes for people. We're not talking swinging 10, maybe even 20% up or down, depending on how they normally hit it. And that's even dead center, exact boom, right here, hit. Meanwhile, I'm going to continue to warm up. I'm going to bring back my elastic band. We're waiting on a little demo advertisement for one of the gym goers here. We'll see if they have time to do it while I'm doing this. It's very karate, but it's a very karate style punch. This way, right? Now, no one in the world is going to punch like that in a realistic situation, right? It is just my alignment. I'm checking my alignment to show that when I do land, I would be able to have a good shot. I'm not the strongest puncher in the world. I don't claim to be. I do claim to make other people a lot stronger. When you see a bag of this nature, a lot of experts have no idea of what it looks good on a bag like this. Is it the sound? Is it the vibration? Is it the way it moves? Is it the way it doesn't move, right? So one thing I urge you to think about is the fact that I weigh about the same as this bag does, right? And so should I really be able to move it so easily, right? If I were to play around and not throw strikes, like pure bam strikes, but I was just going to slightly move this thing, I can take 2 fingers, even resisted by this band, and 2 fingers, I should be able to push this bag away, right? Again, I'm pushing it at a location where maybe you say it's easy, so I'll push it from down here, right? This is almost just above hip level, and it's almost horizontal. Right? So I can do the same thing. If my structure is good, 2 fingers don't matter. I'm not Bruce Lee. I don't do fingertip push-ups like Jack Lalanne. The idea is just that the rest of the structure that contributes is fine. If you see my car push videos, same thing, right? Again, Boss Reed's idea that you need on the ground, make a stable base to have a good impact. Not necessarily true because I'm going to lift this 1 foot off. I can push just as hard as many people can on 2 feet, right? Just play with this foot. It's no secret. I'm not doing some fancy seesaw Superman punch. I'm simply moving my foot off the ground. That's this foot. If I had done it on the front foot, same thing, right? I can lift this foot. I can do lots of really cool things here. It doesn't matter which way this is. You can still keep pushing as long as I want. So again, what can I do? Am I breaking the laws of physics? We'll talk about that. Probably another video. A billiard ball hits another billiard ball, playing a game of pool, and it transfers all the momentum, almost all, right, from one ball to the next. Systems of equal mass, and the thing goes flying. Should I be able to move this bag in a way that a small bump for me sends it go flying? Well, I weigh 150, absolutely, right? I weigh 150, so it should be my whole body. But the difference is that when we strike, we're not using our whole body. In fact, even if we are using our body to make the power inside us, we're not landing, we're not interacting with the bag using our entire body mass. Typical values, same as the mass of this whole thing, right? Maybe 5 kilograms, maybe, sometimes less, right? Sometimes more, but 5 kilograms is 11 pounds. That's about the weight of the upper arm, right? From here, fist included up to here. People made a big deal when they did research and they discovered it was much more than the mass of just a fist, but you're not still using much more than your arm, even if you're a boxer. Bam, you're hitting it right, pulling this way, doing a lead hook, whether you do the kind of this way, or if you turn your foot over, it doesn't matter, right? What's actually hitting the target, what's connecting with the target? Probably about 10 pounds worth of your mass if you're on the high side, right? So in reality, if I'm just hitting with this, of course, it's not possible to do a lot of damage with my arm. So what does it mean to have an arm punch? Lots of meanings. We're going to cover this during the seminar. Not to give all the details now. The idea is that you want more than just your arm behind it. And that's why, for example, disciplines like karate, traditional karate, these long stances, this arch backs, you're supposed to have your body pressing behind the hole. It's probably the whole way in practice, right? This is not a way to work, right? You're not going to get much out of that. So the idea that we need to work on is how do we get more of our body mass into hitting this target? Realistically, I should get as much as I can of my 150 or so pounds into this 150-pound bag. Again, this week I probably go like 155, maybe 156 with shoes on, maybe 157, right? But in general, my weight's been stable for the past 2 years at 150 until about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, maybe when I started training for a specific powerlifting competition. So, boom, boom, right? I want this to look like effortless. Back to what I promised earlier. If I do this, not just with fingers, in a way that looks really nice, right? Really, really nice. I can move this bag around very easily, right? I can move it around. And this is not striking, right? This is just moving the bag. Push, push. But it begs the question, I shouldn't say begs the question, it brings about the question of what am I doing with my body weight that I can do? If it's literally just my arm and I detach my arm to my shoulder and I push it in, it's not going to do very much. Something on the inside is happening that's allowing me to move this bag with relative ease, boom, boom, and so forth. This is something we need to think about, something I will be teaching at the seminar and future events. Boxing, they talk a lot about protracting the shoulder, whereas karate, they try to hold it back. We don't like to do it in an exaggerated fashion like that, but at least they like to keep it locked in. What they think of is locked in generally. Do you want protraction of the shoulder? Here I'm showing a little bit forward, but I'm not doing this. I'm not doing over exaggerating, I'm not over protracting. Just allow it to release. That's like the great hook. Do it again. Once again, strikes are not just punches, and so to jump at this bag, quite literally, jump at it, you can see that the way my body interacts is a whole 150 pounds. It's all moving. I always like to ask at seminars, if I drop a 10-pound weight on the ground, how many pounds of force hit the ground? It's not 10. It's not 10, right? But in this case, how much mass I'm contributing to this interaction, of course, is exactly boom, right? My whole body with chest bump, boom, right? So I did a funny video, really goofy one, like a side kick, flying side kick, like that. That was a push, not really a strike. You get the idea, right? My full body weight is a little more striky. Could be something like that. Either way, the fact remains that I'm using as much as I can of my body weight in that strike, and there are usefulness criteria for this. Again, this is attached on the ground. I think it's coming out now. Our little 25-pound precaution is failing us a little bit. But anyway, continuing to warm up, getting ready for people to start filing in who might want a private demo for big events to start. Here we are. I'll put it on pause, and I'll be back. So I was just watching one of the people I've been acquainted with at the gym do a sort of extension, triceps extension. His back was very, very inclined relative to the vertical. They're they're a former fighter, probably not professional. Um, and I think sometimes about the types of exercises that I would have people do, and what I see done instead of me. One of my favorites is when they have the barbell and they do these sort of things. There's one person that I've seen these in a way that I really approve of for combat sports, and they often do it in a non-explosive manner, or too heavy a weight that can't be exploded with, or this sort of forced, unrealizable hip rotation. Um, so I think one of the topics that a future seminar is going to be strengthening exercises for fighters. We'll keep that in mind. Meanwhile, it's time to warm up again. Some people talk about like a ball and chain. If you imagine having a weight, you're throwing this weight, at the bag, like literally throwing weight. How do these analogies hold up? You certainly don't want to remain tense. In fact, I can tell you what you're doing wrong immediately if you're, ramming this into the bag without structure yourself. You think that this is going to do it for you, and you remain tense because you think you're connected to it. Look at the angle, the right angle that I'm forming. I'll do it higher. The right angle and lower. The right angle that I'm forming with my arm here. It's not ballistic anymore. Now it's forced, right? Think of the bench press. So bottom of the bench press. So you don't really want to literally throw it because then you're disconnected from it. And it doesn't do much, this tiny weight by itself, 12 pounds, just over 5 kilo. You want to be able to launch it and yourself in a way that they're connected, but not so tight that there's rigidity, right? Something like that. So, something like that, or even something like that, right? So, is it that one? And that's what your punch could feel like. If you're releasing your body mass, that's a slap, right? So if my glove is on, I do it like that. In real life, I'm very knuckle today, so I probably would do something more like this, or like this. But the point is that I'm going to do it slow motion just to mime it, right? Boom. You see that? Similar motion to the bag. Boom. As you feel it. Boom. Better one. From here. Same thing, I have my weight. Boom. And boom. Right? So what's happening is partially that you're teaching yourself to manipulate the weight as if the hand was heavy. Sistema talks about this as well, right? As if the hand is heavy. But in reality, you're not placing any weight that does the work for you, right? Celebration by Courtney Gang is playing now. Super fun. So again, connected. What am I doing during this exercise? I've got this launch of my arm, which I don't have to do like this, right? You might have noticed in the previous attempt at the live stream, I did one of these, right? I did a Shotokan karate style, turn at the same time, boom, right? Which is not so different from a classic boxing punch. Classic cross this way, boom this way, cross coming over. That rear straight punch. A lot of boxers, I see a couple of different ways. Either they do the rotation this way, and they come over, or sometimes I see a little more extended, right? Not the greatest imitation, pardon me. I'm trying to remember how I've seen it. this, right? I don't love either, but let's just see on the bag, right? So again, turning same time. Now this was like an insight at the time that was developed. Research on it by people like Stu Gill. Got a staple or nail in a 2x4 between your rib cage up here and your sort of hip area here. It moves as one, right? It moves as one. And there's even some more exercises people do like this. Is it don't twist. Now we twist like this. So it does so much, right? What's the proper timing? Should it arrive exactly as the same? Exactly at the same time the fist is the hip? Or should the hip lead the shoulder and the fist? So this one. These are like more ripping punches you see in modern boxing, even some modern karate, definitely in MMA. And it probably looks like it's a little more powerful. But the joke is on you, because you can get power either way. You can get power even if you rotate at the same time, depending on how you release that power. So you could do this, it's more anticlimactic compared to this, right? And in reality, if I was to rotate at the same time, but release it better, it might look like that, see? So, and then the whipping again, same thing, instead of releasing poorly, I release well. I release well. And if you come to the seminar or a similar event, you'll see exactly what we mean by this sort of like millisecond, really centisecond timing. It's hundredths of a second, or 10 more tenths of a second. Probably you have control over it as a human being. So if you're doing this in the craziest way possible, you can even have the hand lead the hip, right? So 1 and 2. Who's famous for this is Michael J. White, right? He does his non-telegraphic strike where he says, now block the one, and he goes, or even he just goes like this, right? And then he says, block the next one, he goes. So he does it and he turns at the last second. Again, you can do it, right? Straight, turn. Straight, turn. You gotta release properly. So it's not strain and turn like that. It's strain and turn. The hand explicitly goes before the hip turns. Doesn't really matter at all. And there's advantages to all three, but I always love to ask, which are people taught? Same time, hip leads the hand, or has anyone ever told you the hand can go first? Practicing in this way allows you to be more flexible. It allows you to do crazy things like punch going backwards, and so forth. So, leading the hand. Leading the hand. Right? You can have a little more impact on that one. And go always more my body weight. Like that, right? But also same time. This one, same time. Release a little bit better. And my body weight. And you can have a pretty nice slap. Even if you're just rotating at the same time, or if you're rotating, it doesn't really matter. In practice, ladies actually okay. I call this like a true time and false time, and like European martial arts, in other words, like fencing, the historical types of sword and shield, right? Hima? One Hima. We're going to do a couple from a static stance, okay? I'm not going to move my feet. Not with my feet, not with my hips either. Like rotating. I'm not doing this sort of thing, right? Which is sometimes helpful, sometimes not. At these seminars, I speak a little bit about, a lot of it about the real roles of rotation, why we do it. It's not as often useful for the things that people commonly say it is, but it is useful for other things. This gets me right away, you know. Knife hands and karate, these knife hand blocks, shuto and things like that. Didn't used to love them, but there are adaptations depending on how your body gets behind it. Same thing with the back fist. I mean, the back is useless, right? I mean, it's like, just take my watch off for this one. Nice sound, but there's not a lot of damage there. How are you? It's a little bit better, right? Something like that. So you can try. Let's see if this is someone coming for me. Okay, so coming back, right? So we might use some background noise. I think I'll mute it for this. I've done this demonstration before, but let's get a couple of medicine balls. Look at what a low mass versus high mass strike looks like, maybe at different speeds. Let's see what we can do. So we got 8 pounds and the same amount I used before. Right? Versus, see the big movement of the bag, right? Even if I do it light, throw it a little harder. Nice, right? 12 pounds. See how long it took me to grab that bag because of how much motion you can do? Actually, it was less sticky. It was more sticky in some sense because it came back to me less easily. Big difference, right? Let's get a couple more balls. Different ones. So that one's only 4 pounds. 4 pounds. This is in the same spot. My right focus, and then this one is 10, I believe. 10 pounds. Okay. Curl this guy at the bag, right? So curl this guy at the bag. Curl this guy at the bag. See what happens if I do that one lighter. Not so fast. Lob. More. And a little more. Right? Difference between high velocity and high mass impacts. With the slowness of how I lob the heavier bag, you might be wondering, how do I have enough time to get my mass into the bag if I have to go fast, right? These inherently a trade-off. To some extent it is, right? Let's see what we can do. So I can go real fast, right? In fact, I've done these before, right? As another demonstration. You get really nice sounds from here. Nice sound, not a lot of movements, not a lot of deep damage, right? Versus I can make no sound whatsoever. I'm not pushing it, right? I'm not pushing. Watch. Contact and then push. I'm just striking. With more of my body mass. In fact, it can be attractive. Right? Some people think that adds power. We'll discuss that later. But watch what happens when I do it with a reasonably high amount of mass. And it's like an intermediate speed, right? So not almost as fast as possible. You know what I mean? but also not bone, right? Where I drop my hand. So, right? Do a little more from there, a little more power. We'll do something like, no, sorry, slipped on that one. Right, a little more power from there. So first one, bone, bone, bone. Fast, but not deep, versus deep but not fast. Fast but not deep, deep but not fast. I actually have an injury in this hand, so I'm pretty careful with the way that I'm striking. Not to go too hard today. See where he gets me. We got tomorrow too, so. Also, don't copy my fist lazily, leaving my fist open. Don't do that at home. Let's see it a little bit here. Sam is so called 1 inch punch, right? Usually used to, he used to do it, it was like very much a push. It was like a, right, something like that. Might be exaggerating a little bit, it's a little sharper, right? Something like that. I don't like to do it. First of all, we use the back leg, make it a little more challenging for ourselves. And we don't use the 1 inch, we just kind of through here. So through here, you get similar ideas. Not quite a 1 inch punch, still that stroke. If you do it sharper, it's very impressive. You do it on the person. And if I did it cleaner, just warm it up. Just warm it up. Grab a little more. Hopefully around us. You're pretty close. Again, it's the same idea of like versus, you know. But turn it around after these people leave. We can play with the yellow and black ball, the wrecking ball. Back to Michael J. White, his non-telegraphing ideas. We're going to play with them a little bit this weekend too. So, not necessarily moving the shoulder or the hip. Definitely not winding up. How do you get a punch to just come out and not be flex the elbows? You see it doesn't do much damage. Even if I can release my massive weight, just flex the elbow. What becomes key is if I can just go from here, right? So. In traditional karate, we have the oizuki, right? Step over punch, or stepping in, lunging punch. This leg, this arm, not want to rise. You can just usually have these sort of more linear, you know what I mean? Shotokan, it looks a little different, right? It's like from back here. They have all these weird things they do, but the lunging punch, should the fist or the foot arrive first? One, two. One, two. Same time, which is what most people say it should be. Or could the fist even arrive first, like when we switched everything else before? Let's try it. So, one is 1, 2. You're not losing a lot of power there. You're talking about your body mass. Same time. I feel often stifled. It works all right, but wait. Hand first. Now, I don't want you to exaggerate either way. 1, 2. In a real practical situation, training situation, you mean, or 1, 2. But it's got to be a microsecond off. Can't exaggerate. It rarely ever works. You just drop it at the same time. Transferring the body mass is hard to do. You get some speed on it, you know. But you can't get a lot of body mass unless that's foot first, hand first. I'm gonna play with a couple of my old traditional, I don't know if I should call them traditional, but standard karate combinations. Just to continue warming up. They may not be familiar to the audience. They might look silly to you, but they're just waking up body connection, something that I'm familiar with, and I know. To continue, right? You get extremes. Just talking recently, I learned talks about this. It's more than that, but you can imagine it is two extremes, snaps and pitches. Even with kicks, right? Snapping kick, a push, a literal push kick, right? Teeth or push kick. One way to do it, another way to do it. That's a physical push. Push in when you're on the kick. Blending. Maybe much low, right? Maybe a little higher. Not today. Not warmed up enough to kick. But People talk about vertical fists or horizontal fists, and that is not the kind of thing we're working on in this seminar. Wrist alignment, elbow alignment, these are small potatoes. I'm trying to get you to warm up your whole body. Any part of your body can be used to create mass impact. I see sometimes people doing like a shoulder check, It's like, don't do that. You don't need all that. You can transfer your mass successfully without launching, just like that, right? You can just, you don't need to pop up, right? You can just simply, my left side's weaker, but say I'm gonna check this way. You're not releasing like this. You just, like that, right? Try here. Not this. It's not this. Simple. Simple. Like that, Even this one, this traditional karate move, right? This thing, forget this. That's all you need. Okay. So this is fun. What's practically useful will not be the same, right? Um, Later this weekend, we're going to work on what we can do with these things. How we can apply them to striking that's useful on the move, in the moment. One example is that I had a client who's a football player, football, American football. And when they collide, their sort of like mass interactions look very different than two boxers, two MMA fighters, two karate people, two taekwondo sparring partners. When they collide, there's a lot more mass, first of all, usually. Second of all, if they do use their arms, right, it's kind of impractical to use a boxing style pivot, right? Either it's this kind of thing or like it's like this kind of thing. It's almost impossible, especially if you're running in full tilt, right? There's some type of sprinting, and they have to, right? So, football, right here for extended. I'm not a football player. I was able to help several of them to be better, though. So when you're interacting in this way, it's still arms on the move. Say I just strike with one, right? I'm not gonna flick a jab like that with my hip. It's just not gonna work. I'm not gonna flick a jab like that. The cross, I'm not gonna turn. I'm not gonna run straight, turn, right? Makes no sense. Mid direction. What I want you to do is release linearly, and that's what we're working on all weekend when we have the seminar. Also, the whip, the body whip that you're getting there, it's beautiful. So that's another idea of an application, and something where you don't need to necessarily be in a karate stance or a boxing stance to apply some of these principles. Again, I said going backwards. I mean, Ali in '74, before my time, knocked out George Foreman essentially going backwards. Right? I think he actually moved to the left and over. When he did that, he knew his body. He had the release point set, and that's one of the main topics that is on the plan to teach. How do you get that release point set for you? First rig is up for demos. This will shift downwards, so a little uncomfortable. We'll have to be doing a little uncomfortable. Let's try by turning on the sensors. Got a fighter just walked in. I don't know if it's free for someone else. There's on heavy banks, getting loud. For sure. I'm gonna have you go stand on the scale, which is over there. I'll set this up. Okay. Hop on when you're ready. All right, let's see. All right, step off. And then what I'll do is I'll have you come over here. And I got 2 minutes on the clock, a little less.
How many on the clock?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
And turn this guy on, and I'm going to hold it only because it shakes a lot, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to put the extra body weight against it. So this way, like, you can even see it. I'll pull it up so you can watch if you want to scores. But basically, what you're going to do is you're going to start really light, like way lighter than you think you have to.
Like jabs.
Light jabs. Actually, I prefer if you do a cross, if that's all right. But it's up to you. You can do jab or cross. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can continue so you can get forward and check it later. You know what I mean? Cool. So I'll hold it like this, but I won't provide any body weight on it. That's your data. So you got 60 seconds. Start with 5 easy shots.
Cool.
Rest between each. Yeah. Good. Next one. Okay, take a break. And now you're going to turn the power a little bit. When you're about halfway up, rest longer between each shot. So take your 1, 2, and then rest. 1, 2, rest. Go for it. Nice. Good one. Good. One more. And now, give me some power shots. You can get up to like 70, 80% of your max.
Same thing.
Rest, exact same thing, resting and everything. Go for it. Yep. Nice. Good. First one was better. Nice. That was the best one yet. Cool. One more. That's the highest one yet. Your last one was the best. Oh. Cool, man. Yeah. So like, what I do here, save it, right? So you stop this guy. And so BRI or BRY?
BRY.
BRYAN. So I'll call it Brian Tests.
Yep.
And then I can export the data in a way where we can look at it. You know what I mean? You can kind of see what your best was and what your baseline is and stuff like that. So what I do is like pro clients, it's more about seeing how they improve over time, seeing how they fatigue during like rounds. You know what I mean? So they might be like a knockout artist in round 1. And if they, end up in round 3, they're like exhausted. It's like not good for them. You know what I mean? So let's see. Brian, here we are. And then I can make it bigger. Cool. So here's just for context, right? These are your warm-up shots, right? Your best one here is 150. You have to divide that by 4.5. So that comes out to about like 33 pounds. You're just touching it, right? And then what you do is you kick up the notch a little bit, right? So then each one you built a little stronger. Jab, cross, jab, cross, jab, cross. Actually, it looks like you did a jab, jab, cross, which is cool. Your best cross in that second set came out to 192 pounds.
That's crazy.
Not bad. See, what I like to look for, Brian, is like if you're around 240, you want to hit with the cross, you want to at least be hitting the body weight.
Yeah.
Right? With a power shot, right? Mm-hmm. If you're a trained fighter, which by 6 months you should be doing this, is like 1.5 times your body weight. Mm-hmm. And if you're, like more advanced, then you start doing it 2. So if you're 240, you're like, in theory, you could be hitting 500. Yeah. But let's see. That would be insane, But let's see what you did. So then I told you kick it up a little bit, and then we went to 600. So that comes out to,
imagine a
dude.
That's
I got a guy my size, Gleason,
yeah.
a guy my size hit me like 368 pounds of force. I swear to God, it was insane.
Voice is wild.
It was insane.
Shit.
But
I never knew that.
the worst I ever got hit was almost 500. I mean, that was
Really?
like break your freaking neck. You know what I mean? But let's see. Okay, so then you started kicking up, right? I said that one wasn't as good. The difference, just so you know, right, between that one and this one, this was 600 something, right? So comes out to 660, 4.5. It was about 150 pounds. It's equivalent to my body weight. The one that didn't come out, cross that was not as good, that was a little lower, and that one came out to 120. So it's a difference of 30 pounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just being slightly off. But your best one, this is the damn 212.
Damn.
So-
is wild.
Yeah, that's getting close, man. So if you weigh, I mean, I don't know what your weight is here. It looks like this came out to 47 with clothes on, 254. 254 with gloves and clothes, right? So if that was you with gloves and clothes on, that means that theoretically, call it 240, right? You're only 30 pounds away from your body weight shot.
Damn, that's crazy.
Dude, one session with me,
That's so insane.
You want to come back tomorrow? We're doing it. If you don't want to buy, let me see, let me turn this off. If you don't want to Hopefully that came through. That was first analysis, and pretty strong. I mean, 240-pound new fighter, maybe 4 months of boxing experience, absolute highest, peak to peak, came out to, I think it was 212, 212, almost 213 pounds of force. So that looks like can definitely get to 1x very quickly, probably by the end of the weekend. I'm going to pop that into the program now and see if I can analyze that data directly. Just as a quick demo, I can show you a little bit of the data from this particular fighter. Again, new fighter, and I can show you the kind of things that we do. I'm going to show a simplified format here, so let's see what I can get for you. All right, so make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so in that quick foray, I don't know exactly how many minutes. I think it was probably 2 minutes of striking. I don't know how long the video lasted while we were together here. What we can do is we can look at some of these strikes. There were 37 total strikes. This is the tail end. So this was after the initial warm-up. This was him doing naturally. Is this coming through? I'm not sure. Oh, dear. Oh, that's way weird. Let's try it again. And was that better? Okay, so this first part, this was his natural sort of go for it. This was the sort of tuned it down to medium, and this was sort of the power shots. The best one here, both naturally and after I sort of talked him through releasing, this was 210. I didn't really do any coaching here though, right? I just kind of let him had it. He probably will return tomorrow and actually do a proper report. Let me see what I can do with the rest of this data. So, for example, relative to body weight, right? So we were hoping that this individual, this person would get up to 1 time his body weight. If they come back tomorrow, hopefully they'll break this. They're in the untrained category. Untrained, I mean, I think they said they've had 2 or 4 months of boxing lessons. I would like to see him eventually up here, after 6, 9 months. And this is sort of our upper echelon, right? So that's cool. And they did pretty well. Um, as a matter of fact, not far from their goal, right, of like somewhere about 240 pounds. You had 212, depending on if you account for clothing and the gloves, the shoes especially, right? We're talking maybe only 20 something pounds off. Not too shabby. Okay, so next contender. Okay, so the way we do it is I have you, you're going to stand on that guy when I tell you. Yeah, give me 1 second to set it up, and then, okay. You're going to fight with gloves, right? No gloves? Okay, that's fine. Okay, yes. So go stand on the white guy, the little plate there. Exactly. Okay, hold it for 2 seconds. Okay, you're good. You can come this way. And I will hide your face. And then basically what we got to do is I'm going to hold this just within the shape, stable. And I'll hold it like this, but I won't put my body in it.
Once again?
Just like that, yeah. You prefer front punch, rear punch?
You both.
Okay, yeah. All right, cool. So I'll set it up, and then whenever you're ready, I'm going to. Good. Okay. So easy. Really start easy. Okay. 5 or 6. There you go. Okay. One more. Okay. Take a break. So far, looks like that. Okay. So the next set, just do the same thing. Just a little bit of a rest in between. Do combo, rest, combo, rest. A little stronger. A little stronger. Yeah, that's it. Best one. Nice. Off. Try to get dead center, okay? Yes, best one yet. Nice. Cool. Awesome. Good. All right, take a little rest. And then make sure you get it right center, like right where this leg is right here. Just so you get a better read. And then, okay, after you rest, you got another about 30 seconds, 20 seconds, and this way you can go power shots. Nice. There you go. Beautiful. Oops, I'm sorry. Nice. One more.